Hello, good morning, students. Have a nice day. Today, in our syllabus, paper second English literature, part first, students of the BA part first, we have about to complete the syllabus, and today's story is Old Man at the Bridge. Old Man at the Bridge is a story of an old man who did not leave the place. However, it was a very crucial time and the Spanish War was going on. This story was written by Ernest Hemingway, an American writer. Ernest Hemingway was born on July 21, 1899 in America. He was a novelist, short story writer and journalist. His economical and understated style had a strong influence on 20th century fiction, while his life was an adventure and his public image influenced later generations. Hemingway produced most of his work between the mid 1920s and the mid 1950s. He won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1954. He published 7 novels, 6 short stories collections, and 2 non-fiction works. Additional works, including 3 novels, 4 short story collections, and 3 non-fiction works, were published posthumously. Posthumously means published after his death. The Old Man and the Sea is a considered classic of American literature. Now today we will see the summary of the story. The story Old Man at the Bridge is in the form of conversation between a soldier and an old man. It's in form of dialogue, conversation. The writer takes the ordinary detail and transforms it into a powerful story about the tragedy of war. The old man in the story becomes a symbol of countless civilians who perish in war. The story Old Man at the Bridge is related through a conversation between a soldier and an old man who had to leave his hometown during the Spanish Civil War. During the war, there was panic and anxiety all around. Everyone was aware of the impending death. An old man with spectacles sat exhausted by the side of a road near a pontoon bridge that crossed the river. The soldier got engaged in conversation with the old man. During the conversation, he came to know that the old man was worried about his animals that he had left behind. The old man told the soldier that he had the charge of 2 goats, a cat, and 4 pairs of pigeons. He said that a captain had told him to leave the town and the animals because of artillery fire. He had no family, but he expressed concern about what would happen to his animals. He said that the cat would be all right because cats could look after themselves, but he didn't know what would happen to his other animals. The soldier was concerned about the old man's safety, whereas the old man was concerned about his animals' safety. He told the soldier that he was an old man of 76 and had come 12 kilometers and was too tired to walk up the road and catch a ride on a truck to Barcelona. The old man thanked the soldier for his concern for his safety, but he continued to express his concern over the fate of the animals he had left behind. The old man remained obsessed with the thought about the safety of his animals. At the end of the story, the soldier felt pity for the old man and thought there was nothing to do about him. He realized that he could not remove the old man's concern about the safety of his animals. The story reflects the theme of depression and impending death. Now we have a story in the form of outlines. The conversation between a soldier and an old man. The story Old Man at the Bridge is related through his conversation between a soldier and an old man who had to leave his hometown during the Spanish Civil War. During the war, there was panic and anxiety all around. Everyone was aware of the impending death. An old man with spectacles who had walked 12 kilometers from his hometown sat exhausted by the side of a road near a pontoon bridge that crossed a river. Carts, trucks, men, women, and children were crossing the bridge. Peasants, refugees, and Republican soldiers laden with munitions and supplies fled the advancing fascist army. The narrator, who said that his mission was to cross the bridge and find out how far the enemy had advanced, did so. He saw the old man sitting beside the bridge when he crossed toward the enemy. He found him still sitting there when he crossed back. He began talking to the old man and came to know that his hometown was San Carlos. He was the last person to leave the town as he was anxious about his animals. The narrator asked the old man about his animals. The narrator, who was nervously awaiting the advent of the fascist army and the ensuing battle between the armies, asked the old man about his animals. The old man said that he had charge of 2 goats, a cat, and 4 pairs of pigeons. He said that a captain had told him to leave the town and the animals because of artillery fire. He also told the narrator that he had no family. He then expressed concern about what would happen to the animals. He said that the cat would be all right because cats would look after themselves, but he didn't know what would happen to the other animals. Old man's political views. The narrator, who was more concerned for the old man's safety than those of the animals, inquired what the old man's politics was. The old man replied that he had none. He told the narrator that he was an old man of 76 and had come 12 kilometers and was too tired to go further. The narrator told him to walk up the road and catch a ride on a truck to Barcelona. The old man expresses his thanks to the narrator. The old man thanked him but continued to express his concern over the fate of animals he had left behind. The narrator reassured him, saying the animals would be fine. The narrator told him that the pigeons would fly away, but the old man continued to worry about the goats. The narrator told him that it was better not to think about them and that he should get up and walk to the trucks and leave the place. He thanked the narrator and got to his feet, swayed from side to side, and then sat down backwards in the dust. He reflected his obsession about the fate of his animals when he remarked that he was only taking care of animals. The narrator felt pity for the old man and remarked that there was nothing to do about him. He thought that the old man's only luck was that the cats could look after themselves and that the day was overcast, so the fascists were unable to launch their planes. Students, I have read the main outlines of the topic and now I explore my lecture in detail. I have told that the introduction of Ernest Hemingway. Ernest Hemingway was an American writer born on July 21, 1899. He was a nice novelist, short storyteller and journalist. He got Nobel Prize in Literature in 1904. This is very important that he won the Nobel Prize of Literature in 1954. He wrote several novels, short stories, non-fiction works. And some of his stories, non-fictions, were published after his death. And the present story, Old Man and the Sea, is very popular, famous classic of American literature. And we have discussed The summary of the story, Old Man. How this story starts in the form of dialogue, conversation between a soldier and an old man. Soldier tells him several times that it was a wartime and the old man should go from the place because it was not a safe place, and the writer takes the ordinary detail and transforms it into a powerful story about the tragedy of war. The old man in the story becomes a symbol of countless civilians who perish in war. So, old man represents other civilians who were afraid in the war. The story is in the form of conversation between a soldier and an old man who had leave his hometown during the Spanish Civil War. There was a panic, horror, anxiety all around. Everyone was aware of the death, and the old man, with his spectacles on his nose, sat nearby the road near a pontoon bridge that crossed the river. The soldier became busy with the old man, telling him about his safety and the safe concern of his animals. Old man told him that he was in charge of 2 goats, a cat, and 4 pigeons. He said that a captain had told him to leave the town, but he was not ready to go because of artillery fire, and he wanted to save his animals. He was convinced that he was not worried about the cat because cat looks after itself, but he was worried what would happen other animals. The soldier was worried, concerned about the safety of the old man, but old man was worried about not his life but the life of animals. The old man was very exhausted, tired because he was coming from 12 kilometers and he was too tired to walk up the road and catch a ride on the truck to Barcelona. The old man was very anxious to know about the fate of the animals he had left behind. Old man also remained firm that he was not going anywhere because of the safety of his animals. And in the end of the story, we see how the soldier felt that there was nothing to do about him. The old man was adamant and he was nothing to go with the captain. He realized that he could not remove the old man's concern about the safety of his animals. And the story reflects the theme of depression and impending death. We have seen that the story in the forms of outlines. There are 4 outlines. The conversation between a soldier and an old man. The narrator asks the old man about the animals. Old man's political views. The old man expresses his thanks to the narrator. So in the form of dialogues, in the form of conversation, there is a dialogue between soldier and old man. The soldier advises old man to go from the dangerous place, but the old man was not going anywhere because he was concerning not his life but his animals' safety. And in the second outline, the narrator asked the old man about his animals, that the animals would be safe, and old man's political views about that he was not going anywhere and he was 76 years and had come 12 kilometers. So this story has a nice message that the people who are worried about animals, not about their life, but they are concerned about their animals. So there is a pity, and the soldier shows that there was nothing to going to do with the old man. Thanks, students. You have listened my lecture carefully, and I hope that for the purpose of examination you will get benefited. Thanks again. very thank you. Thank you.